Happy Astrological New Year, Gemini. Now we're going to have a look at the year ahead for Gemini, which starts on the equinox, and this is for all Geminis and Gemini ascendants. So we're going to start with the astrology, and then I'm going to do a couple of tarot spreads. So Gemini, you have an amazing looking chart for the equinox. A lot of very favourable things going on. So firstly, Jupiter is sitting in your second sector. And with Jupiter sitting there, this is really good time for financial growth and for expanding, whether it's to do with property, your assets. It's also going to be extremely valuable time for you to be expanding in lots of ways, your personal values, your ideas, your the way what you really, when I say your personal values, it's more about what you value personally to you. And so with Jupiter there, it's like, this is a time where you can really, truly express that, as well as expand and grow. There's a really fortunate Jupiter trine Mars combination, and the trines are, again, soft aspects and very fortunate. And with that, it allows for a lot of productive growth, enterprise situations, or just situations where you feel like you can finally move forward. With that combination sitting here in your 10th, like Mars in your 10th sector, is like a really strong desire to reach your goals this year. When I say your goals, where you really see yourself, really where you really want to be. Jupiter there in the second, this could be financial, but again, could also be relative to property changes, investments, etc. The fourth sector has the South Node sitting there. Now, the South Node represents people from the past, also represents past lives, your own personal past lives, but also the people that you have connected with in past lives that you're connecting with again. And with that sitting in your fourth, there's this it's going to be quite a nostalgic time relative to past and relationships. You could find old friendships coming back into your life, and you may also feel that desire to reconnect with others from early childhood. Pluto sits in your 9th sector. So, within your 9th sector, that's a lot of transformation going on again, relative to your aspirations, to the way you see the world, but also it's relative to travel. With Pluto there, it's not necessarily a time when you want to travel. You may feel like this isn't a safe time to travel, and you're probably not wrong there. But with Pluto there, it's like you're going through a slow transformation to do with, again, what how you reach out to the outer world and how you see the outer world and how you relate and also connect to overseas cultures, people, and connections and places. The 10th sector, which is a very strong sector for this chart, is got, the fortune of having Mars here. Like I said, this means that you're going to have a real drive towards setting goals. Could be relative to career, sort of long-term goals, again, what you want to aim and work towards. You have Mercury conjuncting the node there, and this is opposing the North Node and South Node are always opposite to their mathematical points. And so the Mercury node conjunction, which is where we want to connect up with people that think the same, of like-minded nature to us, and also it's a time to, where you can really express yourself well out there in the world and with others. It's a time for negotiations, contracts, or even just sorting out situations with others, but, working in teamwork as well. And with Mars there in the 10th, again, that can relate to the teamwork situation of all getting together and working hard. You could be inclined towards more sort of physical work or sports during that time as well with Mars there. Now, the sort of lineup that we had for the equinox, Sun, Neptune, Saturn, and then Moon, Venus, and Chiron, sitting all there in Aries. That's in your 11th sector, your sector of friendships, connections, and the wider community. How we sort of contribute to the community, how we connect with community, also how we relate, through the the 5th, the opposite position, which is our expression in the outer world, and the 11th is how we put it out there into the community. There's a lot going on there with the Sun, Saturn. You may feel like Neptune, and of course this relates to friendships and what we do within our connections and our social time. You have Saturn, Sun, Neptune, Saturn combination, and this can make us feel like separating from situations that have been disappointing or difficult or draining, hard, exhausting even with Neptune, but also sort of we can feel disillusioned within situations as well. We can be fearful of change with that Sun, Saturn, Neptune. With it again, like I said, in that 11th sector, you are sorry, my phone's gone off, distracted me. You in that 11th sector, I think you may feel like you might cut away from friendships, because you're going through changes with the Sun in the 11th, and there's a soft aspect, a sextile to Uranus. That is sort of where you're going through inner changes at a subtle level, and because you're going through inner changes at that level, you may again feel like you're wanting to connect up with those that are more in alignment with you, and you will be making new connections and friendships, and and that's where you may sort of it's like you're creating space for new connections to come in. So again, you may feel like this is a time where some people that have been giving you a bit of grief, that you're sort of going to be disassociating from them a bit more. Moon is also conjunct Venus, which is a really lovely time to be expressing yourself, your creativity, your nurturing skills, your love, your care. It's a very affectionate combination. And again, within your friendship connections, this is where I feel like there will be new connections that you can express yourself with. And while you're sort of, working out some that you found being quite challenging. And Uranus is sitting in your 12th sector. Now that's been there for a while, of course, with Uranus in Taurus, but it's coming out and it's about to move into your sign. Now this happens around May, June, and as it comes into your Sun position, again you're going to be going through a lot of inner changes, because you're going to have the Sun conjunct Uranus. And like I said, with that, as you are changing, everything else around you will be changing, your friendships, your connections, relationships, etc., to how you want them to be. And with it coming finally out, it's like, what are the changes I've been wanting to make? And when it comes out, it's like the lights shine on it, and you can see quite clearly, what it is you're wanting to break free from. And you'll find it can happen, like I said, quickly, but with ease, with it coming into that Sun position. Like I said, that's sort of, you're going to really start to feel that May, June, and so on. It's going to be there for quite a while, so there's no rush to make any changes. But like I said, sudden good news and sudden changes, new circumstances come on quite quickly. So let's have a look at the cards and see what more information they can give me. They may indicate what the changes could be. I'm going to do the Celtic Cross spread first, and then I'm doing the Zodiac spread. Okay, so it looks like there are some decisions here to make for this year. You may have been wavering, and again, with Uranus sitting there, your 12th sector, you probably felt like, and it's at Neptune, Sun, you would have felt unsure, uncertain, but scared. What if this? What if that? If I make these changes, but you are going to really step into these changes with true confidence and belief. It's like where you feel you have been not being honoured, where you feel you are being weakened by circumstances, you are going to actually get the strength to actually, really look at that, look at where situations have been difficult, disappointing, or a struggle, and you're going to be really feeling very confident about making these decisions and moving forward. So a little bit of a, before this happens, of course, because, you know, the outcome was fabulous. I tend to go straight to the outcome with my Sagittarius ascendant, but I'll come back and go, let's see how we get there. Because firstly, and I feel like through April, May, especially I think more so in April, if Uranus is at that last point, it's like you sort of realize how you're being emotionally affected and pulled around by circumstances, especially in people, and especially circumstances that sort of seem like unsettled. So in other words, someone who emotionally could be a bit unstable, moody, you know, not consistent and emotionally. The issues around that, and I've got it around the male principle here. So, you know, this is for men and women, let's get these cards, but, you know, it could be relative to the male energy around you because it is the sun connecting up with Uranus. This is going to make you feel sort of exhausted and frustrated, and I just don't want this unsettled feeling. I just want peace is what you're really, really going to feel. This, I just want the sense of peace. And, you know, for some it could be in their workspace, for some it's going to be in their home space, or could be within their situation around families. So I feel like, you know, Geminis are good communicators. And, you know, if you just give yourself time, because they are very good at communicating and saying things really quickly, but if you give yourself time emotionally to sort of understand how this person is just reacting to an emotional pull, an emotional trigger that they have, and it's possibly triggering you as well, you might be able to gain a better understanding of, you know, where this is coming from. But through, you know, good communication and explaining what you are wanting and not making it about them would be my recommendation, but making it about you and your needs and your wants and what's going to make you happy. You know, you can either get them on board with you or, like I said, move on to better things. It's completely dependent on what your desires and your needs are. If you feel the communication is too hard or heavy because of emotions, because people can't explain, you know, explaining people's emotions and why they react isn't an easy thing. That's why it's very hard to go there with some people. That's why it's just good to explain to them when you calm again, you know, what you are going to tolerate and put up with. Again, we have this decision, where do I want to be? There seems to be good news about either making a change, moving to a whole new environment. Looks like Geminis, you know, they love change. You know, they're movers, they're the planet Mercury, and Mercury is always moving. And they, you know, they have this sort of inner trust of just being free. They're sort of naturally a free sign that doesn't want to be held down and restricted, and really just wants, again, situations of ease and connection. Relationships are really important. Communication and connection is really important, and getting each other. Someone who gets you and someone who you really get is really important in your relationships, and this is going to be highlighted this year for you. So it looks like you're going to be looking at exploring new things. It feels like for some you might be, there's some talents here or skills that you're wanting to get into, you know, relative to how you can make a business out of these particular skills. You're very connected psychically, very connected to vibrational energy. You feel and sense a lot that goes on. And of course, you've got a lot going on in the mind as well. So sometimes, you know, so it's really important that you have that place of peace and you're able to calm the mind down. Any negative thoughts, even though I'm not seeing any negativity here, but it's more like because the mind is active, you know, any thoughts that you're running over again, you know, just ask the universe to sort it out for you, because you're really going to be more in the space of just wanting to be still rather than being too mentally active. There's, like I said, a lot of creativity to come out here with Gemini, but then it can be about utilizing your energy in a very practical way, in a helpful way. Just being in the presence with others can uplift when you're actually expressing this energy. The higher frequency relates to music, relates to plants, it relates to crystals, it relates to the things that give us vibrational connection and energy, of a higher vibration. So any of those things you may find exciting and really stimulating. So this year you will be moving on to a much more beautiful, peaceful space, for possibly you and family, or for just for yourself, or through your work, but this is about you working on taking sort of everything that you have and working on a certain direction or goal that you feel very inclined towards. Any Geminis that are into sports, this could be a really good time for also connecting into sports. So let's have a look at the zodiac wheel. Turn that one off, but never mind. Gemini. Studies or learning is coming up too, so that could also be a new inspiration for you. Absolutely, you are looking more at your skills and what you're wanting to really create for yourself. Situations around family here. When I say family, we've sort of got things like siblings, brothers, sisters, or soul family, soul sisters, soul brothers. There seems to be a lot of support, and I feel, when I say support, I feel like where you come into, new studies, new learning, new direction. It could be, when I say new studies, it could even be a career where you're learning, or it could be something you're teaching yourself. Geminis are very good at that as well. It does seem to be coming through your close friendships, and this is going to be again a year for very close friendships and people that you can share with in a real equal and understanding way. Very good news again around your financial sector, so there seems to be some help and assistance sitting here in the second sector of your finances, your security. And the opposite position is the abundance card. So I feel there could be some money. For some, it could be, this is like an inheritance card this year. And it also can relate to large sums of money coming in that you weren't expecting. And this is actually in the position to do with other people who look after your money. So interestingly enough, there seems to be, again, a situation of having a sum of money to put into something that you, again, are wanting, your desired goals. So, it is a contradiction, just like the astrology was, of, you've got really good friendships, you've got these, in family situations, but then you've got these friendships or these family members that you feel like you've had to battle with, or you feel like there's been a bit of a struggle, there's been misunderstandings. So, this is a time of moving on from that, because you have enough people that coming in that will really get and understand you. You can enjoy being at home, spending time at home, but home alone here. When it's at home alone, it's like, if there are studies, it's like, okay, I can get all this work done. Or say you're getting into art, or something that just needs you to, just go into your zone and not be disturbed. Anything you're working on, research, learning, it's like, where Geminis generally like to be sharing the twin sign. They don't like to sort of, like to be on their own. They need their own space like everybody, but they do like to be out interacting with others, the true Geminis, unless you've got lots of Cancer going on here. But, for Geminis here, it seems like actually quite happy just to stay home. I don't need to go out. I'd rather not go see that person, because said this, or they did this, or I can't be bothered. I can't bother with that. So, excuse me, get comfortable. So, so with that, I feel like it's giving you the time to put into your focus and your goals. You'd much rather be at home and be in your own peace than be around other people's chaotic heads, if you like. I mean, I might be, that might be an exaggeration, but, when I say chaotic, I mean, just those that aren't at peace and looking for peace, those that are really quite challenging to be around. Again, a creative time where I feel like if you tune into your emotional side and tune into your heart, you can really express yourself in a much more creative and active way. You might find that you're you're doing a lot to do with family, getting involved, whether it's relative to schools or being part of a collective with others, a team with others where you're sort of working, in a way which is sort of nurturing and caring and coming from a intuitive and creative angle. When it comes to what's going to make you happy this year, it seems to be about following the heart. Of course, that would be relative to everybody, but really tuning in, and because I feel like there's a heart expansion going on where you're going to find you're actually enjoying a lot more social activities as well. Workspace could be frustrating you for a bit here, but you are coming near the end of it, and this may be why I was seeing in the outcome making a move and a change, and for the better in your routine. Because if your daily situation is frustrating you, you are going to make changes for that this year. Your immediate environment is changing quite a bit. So it looks really good for relationships as far as connecting with others. There would seem to be some reconnecting with some. There could be some marriage plans here for some Geminis. There seems to be lots of reasons to celebrate, especially around family, especially around marriage or commitment in some form. It can also relate to sort of business partnership, but I think family members, if it's not relationship for you, it could be like family members that you're reconnecting with that you haven't seen for quite a while, coming back into your life, or people that you just have just met that you feel such a strong and wonderful connection with. The 8-6 looks really fortunate to do with abundance and money, and so there's not too much more to say about that. If there was anything you need to release, it sort of doesn't look like there's too much emotion within that case, but I think, believing in your abundance, believing in your ability to bring in abundance, you could be surprised at the results you find this year, because it does seem like you have a lot of good luck and fortune coming on with that Jupiter in the second sector. Again, travel, you may not be going overseas. Well, hopefully you may go overseas and not come back. You might go and decide to live overseas, or you may be saying goodbye to people going overseas to live. This can open up doors for you for places for travel for the future, of course. And again, I'm getting, just wanting things to be easier, calmer, smoother for you in the future. And that is your ultimate goal. And that is what you're going to be working towards. So, Gemini, you're really going to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and make things happen for yourself this year. This is all coming, not just because you have fortunate combinations and cards. This is coming because you are desiring it, because everything is in alignment now for you to go, right, now it's my time to actually do what I need to do to make the changes that is going to make me happy. Lots of a very, very active 11th sector going on at the moment. Oh yes, that's why, because you had the whole equinox line up there, Sun, Neptune, Saturn, Moon, Venus, Chiron. So it's very active. which means that your social life is going to be very active, your connection with others is going to be really active, and you may even want to get more out in the community, or find you sort of working, whether it's voluntary or or for career, within the community as well. And so, in the 12th sector, you're in your conscious. It feels like, interesting, that's the speculation card, and it sort of fits there, because it's sort of like, well, I've worked hard towards things and I'll sit back and wait. Now, that's not really something that you're doing because it's sitting in your 12th, but it's more like it's a good place to be, because it's like you are naturally trusting in the universe, trusting in the flow, and trusting that if you follow your dreams, you will fulfill your dreams. Absolutely guaranteed here. I hope you enjoyed that, Gemini, and have a great day. Bye.